say you dating God, but more or less, you know what I mean? There's so much going on, and there's parties, and it's the club, and you know, it's just, you know. Ooh, girl, I don't want to get emotional. No. What's up, y'all? It's Tatycokley, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to talk to y'all. First things first, don't say nothing about my nails. Don't. Just don't. Listen to me. I thought I had like the nail spot. Like I thought I had it, and then this nail popped off, right? And I was like, okay, it's just one nail. So I went back and I got it fixed. And then this nail popped off. This is the one that got fixed. Then the other thumb popped off. Then the middle finger popped off. Then the index finger popped off. And now I'm just like, you know what? It's fine. And one of my homegirls was like, oh, what's that nail spot you were talking about? And I was like, Okay, yeah, so that nail place is just out and done. Like, we're just done with her. And I didn't feel like going back in there to get my nails done again, and I need to figure out a new place. So in the meantime, it's giving struggle nails, but that's not why we're here, okay? We're here for the message, okay? And the message is really important today. I know when we be talking, a lot of the times it's like, but sometimes we could be about like serious topics, you know what I mean? I think that makes it more fun and more easy to digest. Well, as you can see by the title, today we're talking about spirituality, okay? And how that literally changed my life. First of all, if you didn't see on my Instagram, she's 25. It was my birthday. Yes, I know, it was my birthday. And she's 25. I'm not even gonna lie to you, girl. It sounds old. And when I turned 25 that day, I was like, oh my gosh, I was kind of sad. I was kind of like, what now? You know, I feel old. But then I was like, girl, you're young and we're not old. I'm just growing up. I was scared because it's like, oh my God, playtime is over, girl. It's time to really lock in. And then I realized, you know what? I feel like I have been locked in, and I've also been able to be myself and to have fun in the midst of that. I think that's okay. I'm still locked in. I'm still focused. I still have my goals, and I'm still being human, and I'm still being a person. That doesn't change with my age. I'm also, as much as it sounds like, oh my gosh, I'm 25, I'm also just 25. And so giving myself the grace of just being that has been like nice for me. And also being proud of myself and the woman that I'm growing to be and stepping into. I feel more confident in this. I know it's like, girl, we could go use 24, and I know, but like something about this era is just making me feel like she's a woman. You know what I mean? Like now she's a woman. Like now it's serious. Now I can rent a car. Yeah. So I'm excited now, and in that I wanted to talk to y'all about my walk with God and what that looks like for me, what it could look like for you. Maybe hopefully something resonates, the struggles, the tribulations, the trials, the triumphs, and everything in between, because I think that's been a really big part of this past year for me of growth and who I am. I don't think I would be who I am. I know I wouldn't be who I am without that. And so we talk about a lot on this channel, a lot between self-love and relationships and mental health and breakups and everything in between. It's really, really important for me to bring this topic to you. I think a lot of people don't talk about it because it's so like taboo to talk about, you know, spirituality, but I don't think that that's something we shouldn't talk about. I think knowing and feeling and standing in that there's something higher than you that is looking out for your best interest is so helpful, especially as somebody with anxiety. So I just want to talk to y'all about it. And if you were curious, or if you're in your walk, in your spirituality, and you want to find sisterhood within that, I'm with you, and let's chat about it. Okay? But first, if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, what are you doing? We're gonna give you a couple seconds to do that. Did you do it? Good. Now you can watch the video, and welcome to the family. Something else I really want to say is what my walk looks like is going to be different than what your walk looks like, because you are you and I am me, right? And so I don't want, if you don't feel like, oh, that's not my journey, it's not supposed to be. Your journey is yours and mine is mine, and I want you to maybe see parts of mine that you resonate with, but don't feel discouraged if our journeys are different or if we're at different parts of our journeys. I'm also not someone to be like, you gotta be this religion or else. You have to do what works for you. I think the most important thing is just having a relationship with something higher than yourself. For me, that's through God, that's through Jesus. I think something that is really fruitful about being a human in life is having a relationship in spirituality and just knowing that you are here for a reason and for a purpose. You may not know it now, what it is or what it looks like, but you're walking in it every day. And I think that that just makes your shoulders roll back and your chest open up a little prouder. I just want to say that. So now let's hop into it. Okay, so long story short, because some of these things I've said before. If you guys have seen my video about my that changed everything for me. Long story short, if you haven't seen it, basically when I was 13, I was misdiagnosed, but at the time I didn't know it was a misdiagnosis. I was diagnosed with premature ovarian failure, basically telling me that my body was kind of shutting down on me as far as like the reproductive end. My doctor at the time had told me that that meant I wouldn't be able to have kids. I wouldn't be able to carry. Like she just said it was out the picture, which was crushing as a little girl, right? So if you want to see that story, I have the whole thing on my channel, but that's basically a quick Spark Notes version. It was just a really rough time for me as a young girl. My parents were trying to figure out, how do we help her through this time, and really just getting into understanding God and what that is, and my spirituality and X, Y, and Z. And you know what really like kicked that off for me? I remember I went to church. There was like a guest pastor in that day, and the guest pastor, I never met this pastor in my life. The guest pastor randomly looks in my direction and is like, and you're gonna be able to have kids, and da-da-da-da-da, and it says something to someone else and something else, and I said, and I looked at my aunt and I was like, did I just imagine that to happen? And I remember that being like a moment where I was like, there's something here, because that wasn't an accident. That wasn't, I don't really believe in coincidences. And so that was the moment that definitely solidified like, oh, stuff don't be coinky dink. Like sometimes God be talking, girl. And so I had to listen. I was like, oh, excuse me, maybe you know something I don't. Kind of like spoiler alert, God always does. That really, got me into my relationship with God, which brought me to YouTube, and it brought me to making a channel. It allowed me to make a safe space for women to have a sisterhood. I didn't want young girls to be looking up how to love myself, how to be confident, and there wasn't much there. Like when I was 13 looking up that, I didn't see much, and it made it worse for me. It made it like, oh, nobody has the answer, or am I the only one that feels like this? Because people aren't even talking about it. And it was a safe space for me to tell y'all what I learned along the way about womanhood, about self-love, and also while talking to y'all, talking to myself. A lot of the things that I told y'all, I probably needed to hear subconsciously, and hearing it out loud helped me feel it. And so as much as y'all always tell me how much I've helped you and I've healed you, y'all have helped and healed me in ways, ooh girl, I don't want to get emotional. No. Y'all have helped and healed me in ways I can't even begin to describe to you what it's been like to grow with y'all, grow with myself, to talk to y'all while talking to myself, and to talk to y'all in the comments, and to hear your stories, and to see the similarities, and for y'all to talk to each other. And I know that is nothing other than the work of God that threaded this together. I feel like a walking testimony of there are things in our lives that like at the time feel like, why is this happening to me? What is the point of this? And like whenever you feel like that, try to loop in the thought of it's not for me to know, or I will know, it's just not for me to know right now. It may never be for me to know, but I do trust and know that it is for something. It's either for my greater good, or the greater good of somebody else, or for something else that's in the works. It's for something. It may be for something down the line in my generations. It may be something for up the line for my parents or their parents, or like we just don't ever know. And so that's where peace is. The peace is in knowing some things I don't know why they're happening or who they're happening for, and maybe that's a good thing, right? You know when people say like ignorance is bliss? I take that in the sense of spirituality, of like not ignorance, but like the things that I don't know, God is all knowing and he knows. And the things that I'm like, like why is this happening? He already sewed it together, planned it out so beautifully. I couldn't even come up with something better in my mind, in my imagination. So whatever, you know what I mean? And that's the bliss in that to me. If you're going through something or you're trying to heal from something, just know that there's such a bigger plan for you. There's such a bigger picture in your painting of your life, and it's all flowing together so intentionally by someone and something so much greater than you and I could even imagine. And so I say that to say, once that happened, I went through that, I made my channel, I started talking to y'all. As I continued into my 20-somethings, this past year, I found my relationship with God again. And it's been, girl, emotional. No, we have things to say. I literally have chills. And even that, like even the fact that I have chills, like it feels like God is always with you. He's always with you. I know he's always with me, because even when I just felt that, chills to me is like a hug from God. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking about God, I'm getting emotional, and here he goes being like, I got you. You know what I mean? Like showing his presence always and the Holy Spirit always being around. I just realized I was missing something, and that something is like the greatest thing to be missing. Some things that I did to get like back into that. One might be hard for somebody else. Now listen, when I first came to LA, right? It's LA. So there was so much going on, and there's parties, and it's the club, and my boyfriend was DJing a lot, and you know, it's just, you know, you end up in that environment. But I realized that even if we do have to be in that environment for whatever reason, you don't have to succumb to what's in that environment. You know what I mean? So I think at the time we were succumbing to that. We were, oh, everybody's taking shots, let's take shots. Oh, people are doing it. Like, you're just in the moment. Now we have realized, like, oh, it don't have to give that. So like, we don't do that anymore. Put the bottle down. The liquor, she's gone. We don't do her anymore. We don't do that. I think we just found out that like God probably wants more for us. Long story short, we did like a 30-day cleanse, right? Like no gambling, no drinking, no nothing. Me and my boyfriend. After that, it kind of just stuck last year, and we were like, oh, we don't really need to do this like kind of ever. Coming from people who was taking shots and having their fun, that was a big transition for us. And that is not to say you can't have your drinks if you're still in your phase where you're like, you know what, I like to have my drinks and I like to do this. You are on your own journey. Please know that. Don't feel like, oh my God, she said that. If we're drinking, then it's bad. I did not say that. I said this is what happened in my walk. Now, because our bodies are so like, we kind of like cleansed our body from that. Now, like my body, it does not do well with like even smells of things we used to be like downing. You know what I mean? And so I think that was like the big first step of like kind of cleansing the body and clearing the body of old things, old habits. And that was like step one. And then picking up the Bible for me and for my walk was step two. So committing with God to read a certain amount of pages every time I open the Bible. You know, sometimes if you if you are in your walk with God right now and you're like opening the Bible and it's like, oh, you may feel sometimes like I'm tired or this is a lot of words. But if you make a commitment, this is like tip number 2, I guess. If you make a commitment with God, it'll make you feel a little bit more like, but I have to do this. And so for me, I made the commitment of like every time I open the Bible, I have to read at least 5 pages. I can't just like read a page or 2 and then be like, ugh, I don't feel like doing this. I have to commit to those 5 at the least. And if I'm really feeling it, then like you keep reading, you know? There have been times I've read my 5. There have been times I've read my 25. There have been times I've read my 40. Like it really depends on what you're feeling. And so I think it's just important to spend time with that every day. In the same way that you probably spend time with your significant other all the time, or you spend time with friends. Something important that genuinely, and I swear to you and I promise you, changed my life was prioritizing my relationship and my friendship with God. When people are like, oh, God is my friend, they're not joking. They're not joking. Like when I was like younger and people would say that, I'd be like, okay, girl. And now I'm like, no, I understand. Like, he will really be your friend. I know that may sound delusional to some people who aren't really like into that, but try it and you'll see what I'm saying. When you're sad, right, and you call a friend to vent, sometimes now if I'm feeling sad, like I know you feel like God can't pick up the phone, but like he kind of can, and God is kind of funny. Like he will show you, like let's say you let him know, like God, I'm ringing you, like I feel like this, and this. God sometimes will like have a commercial play of something that you like need to hear, or maybe you open the Bible to the perfect page of something that he set for you to give you some comfort. Like God is funny like that. He finds his ways to communicate with you through the things that he's created around you. Tip number 2 would be opening your Bible or whatever you're reading and cultivating a relationship with God in the same way that you cultivate relationships with those around you, with your friends, with your man, with whoever. I don't want to say you dating God, but more or less, you know what I mean? Like you kind of getting to know him. He already knows you though. Like imagine going on a date with someone who literally knows everything about you, past, present, and future. Knows exactly how to love you. Knows things about you that you don't even know about yourself, that you may never know about yourself. Like that would be crazy. The partner that you're looking for is God. Gag. I gagged it. I know. But like it's very, very true, and I really feel that way. And I know it sounds crazy, but like the partner you're looking for is God. The friend you're looking for is God. The you you're looking for already exists within you because he is within you. And that's a whole nother conversation. We could start a whole series on this. But like the point is, cultivate that relationship by reading the word, by ingesting whatever you see. Like even for example, I guess this is kind of like moving to tip 3. Social media, right? Whatever is on your social media is critical. sorry to wake this up right now. But like, if you're ingesting a bunch of stuff that is just like constantly triggering you or constantly keeping your eyes fixated on like habits and things that you don't want to be a part of anymore, it's kind of like keeping yourself in like a never-ending loop of darkness if you continue to just watch that stuff, ingest that stuff all day. So stop for that TikTok that's like, hey, do you have 2 minutes for God? And you're like, and you scroll for something more entertaining. Stop and see, you know, stop and give the 2 minutes, or like try to get yourself on like gospel talk or Bible talk or, you know, whatever it is. Like that way, when you are scrolling and you're ingesting things, there's always something kind of thrown in your algorithm to bring you back and bring you back again, to ground you again. Like you might have saw 3 videos. One of them was a fight, one of them was, I don't know, something crazy going on in the club, and something else was something else. The next one is gonna be like, hey, did you ever read this story in the Bible about blah, 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 blah? That may bring you super, super peace from all that chaos. And so what you ingest is very, very important. Look at what you're ingesting. Also, I implore you, if you are looking into, you know, Jesus and you are looking into the Bible, look up fruits of the Spirit. There is a list of things that are, you know, fruits of the Spirit. Those are the things that you kind of want to focus on and like hone in on. There are other things that are more of the flesh and more of darkness and deception and things like that. Just look it up and see if you can integrate a little bit more of that into what you ingest, because you kind of are what you see, you know what I mean? We are kind of like parrots in that way, you know? Like, think about if you keep hearing the same song, you kind of like subconsciously start to sing it more often just because like, well, I keep hearing it, you know what I mean? Or if you keep seeing the same thing over and over again, like think about if you keep seeing the same like Verizon ad or something like that over and over and over again. Verizon's probably like in the back of your mind, like the next time you think about a phone company, it's probably like the first one, you know what I mean? So it's the same situation of like, if you are ingesting things that like constantly make you feel sad or down or pull you away from your relationship and spirituality, try to integrate some other stuff, and eventually you may make a flip. Like right now, if it's like 90 to 10 of like 90% bad, 10% good, eventually as you start to like merge it, it'll come to 50-50, and then you might cross and it might switch over. I guess that's tip number 3, just cutting the things that you're ingesting, whether through television, your phone, just kind of cut those things. 4, that would kind of go into like habits, environments, people, kind of similar to 3, it's cutting those 2. That does not mean, let's clarify this. That does not mean, oh, I've had this friend for so long, but like they're not exactly where I am on my journey, so like I'm cutting them off. No, that just means if this friend is in a place in their journey that's hindering yours, if this friend is a place in their journey that is kind of pulling you down with that, that's triggering for yours, that makes it really difficult for you to remain within the friendship and also remain on your journey, then we have some evaluating to do. It is about cutting going to the same places you've been going to. If you know, hey, I don't think this aligns with where I'm going anymore, or engaging in the same conversations, or engaging in the same conversations with certain people. I went to church the other week and they talked about this. The pastor said that it was a hard reset, and sometimes we have to go through this hard reset. You know when you have to like hard reset your phone, and it's like so annoying to hard reset this phone, right? Because it's like, oh my gosh, it's gonna take so long, take so many hours. I can't use my phone while it's resetting. On the other end of that hard reset, the phone is supposed to work better than it did before for you, right? It's supposed to come with new ideas, new abilities, new opportunities, and that was the point of being patient for that hard reset of the phone. It's the same thing for you. It may be hard because there are things you're gonna have to face within yourself, or things you're gonna have to stop doing, or places you're gonna have to stop going, or people you're gonna have to stop seeing, and be patient in that hard period of that hard reset. But on the other side, you that's coming out on the other side is supposed to be a better you. It's supposed to be a stronger you. It's supposed to be a you with better improvements of yourself, with growth, right? You just hard reset yourself. That is something that stuck with me from the sermon that I saw the other week, and I really wanted to share that with you guys, because all the things you once knew, all the things you were comfortable in, all the things you once did, sometimes you have to hit that hard reset on yourself. And sometimes you have to say, hold on, I need to evaluate myself. I need to pause. I need to start to hit the reset button on me. I need to be patient. I need to see how long this is going to take, what it's going to take. I need to be prepared for my next update. If there's an iOS whatever available, I want to be stuck on iOS 2. I want to be up there with you. I want to be up there where I should be, where I could be, my most optimal self. And you may have to do that a few times. It may not be once. Spoiler alert, it's not gonna be just once. It's gonna be over and over and over and over and over. We're gonna hard reset over and over and over again. You know how like an iOS reset happens like all the time, and it's like, oop, a new iOS update, oop, another update. Yeah, that's you. It's gonna be, oop, I need to update myself again, oop, I need to hard reset again. And that's okay. And you should embrace these resets. And you know how people get excited about the update, like, ooh, what's new with this new iPhone update? Be excited about the updates with yourself. What's new with you? Who are you? What are the improvements that you're making within yourself? What's the hard stuff you had to cut out? What's the time that you had to wait and be patient for it? But what's all that to how great this new update of you is? So that's something that, in other words, is kind of what I've done. Is just a hard reset of like, who do I want to be? Where do I want to go? And what needs to happen in between there? God was what needed to happen in between there, although he's always been working. But I had to acknowledge him working. That would be my fourth suggestion of just hitting a hard reset on yourself and what's around you. Also, that hard reset sometimes can come with therapy. Sometimes that may come with, I don't know if I can do this on my own. I implored therapy. I still have a therapist to this day who also is super spiritual, and that's great. We talk about God in our sessions sometimes. Like, that's, you know, you can do both. It doesn't have to be that God is your only therapist. God has put people on this earth that can help you along the way and be vessels. So if you need an extra step of help in facing yourself and your journey and your traumas, do so. I've done it. It's really important. And that's why I'm excited to tell you guys about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible. And this is a super important mission because finding a therapist can be really hard, especially when you're limited to the options just in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as just a few days. It's super easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. There's a link in my description, betterhelp.com/Taty. Now, clicking that link does support this channel, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp so you can connect with a therapist and see if it's right for you. And because finding a therapist is a little bit like dating, like I always tell y'all, if you don't really vibe with your therapist and you want to switch out to another one, you can do so for free. You don't have to worry about who's in your network, any insurance, nothing like that. Super easy switch over to a new one, and we try again. Therapy has been super important in my journey of discovering myself and strengthening my relationship and my spirituality. So if you're struggling or if you're looking for some extra help, consider therapy with betterhelp.com/Taty or click the link in my description. Thank you again for BetterHelp for sponsoring this video and supporting this channel like always. And now let's get back into the video. So yeah, that's that tip. And then another tip would be gratitude. I kind of touched on this, I think in my last video or the second last one, and I kind of said if you guys wanted like a spirituality video to say something, and a lot of y'all did. So I was like, okay, great. I'm excited to talk about this. So gratitude is another big thing that like changed my entire journey with myself, with God, with those around me. And so if you need a tip on like, yeah, but like how do I do that? Let me tell you what I do. And this requires a lot of discipline out of you, Miss Mamas. This requires a lot of discipline out of you, Miss Girl. So when I wake up every morning, before I do anything, before I go through my phone, before I do anything, before I brush my teeth, like anything, I hit the floor. I get on my knees and I pray. And this prayer can be as long as it needs to be. I start with thanking God for like opening my eyes for another day of life. And then I go through every little thing I could think of to thank him for. Because my body is right there, I start there. So I thank him for my toes, my feet, my ankles, my shins, my calves, my knees, my shoulders. I thank him for all that. I thank him for my organs working together. I thank him for everything you could think of inside and out of your body, right? And then I start to think what's around me. I thank him for the floor that I'm able to kneel on. I'm thankful for the bed, if I'm leaning on the bed with my elbows, and the bed that it has covers for me to rest in, and the fact that I was able to rest. And as far down as you can, as far up to hallelujah, as far as you can take it literally to the air. Thank him for air. Thank him for the ability to breathe. Like, you see how there's so much to be grateful for. And I think starting your day with immense and intense gratitude like that every single day will show God that you acknowledge him before anyone, anything else. But it will also show you how much you have to be grateful for, which is a great way to start your day feeling so abundant and so blessed. So that would be that half of gratitude. Another half of gratitude would be doing that same thing at night, at the least, right? At the least, you're praying in the morning and at night is something that is helpful for me to stay accountable, to stay disciplined, and to stay on my walk with God. So at night, I do the same thing. If there's anything special in the day I want to thank Him for, I do that. And I also may ask for forgiveness if I feel like, you know what, I may have fell short today in this area. That's my time to do that, and ask for the strength to not repeat whatever mistake. And that is like a great way to open your day and a great way to close your day. And then throughout the day, also having prayers. I don't travel without praying over myself first. If I'm like getting in the car, I don't eat without praying over the food and thanking God for the food. I don't. There are so many opportunities in the day to be like, oh, let me be grateful again. And that consistent gratitude is something that will constantly ground yourself and also just allow you to feel abundant at all times, because you are abundant. You are so abundant. So abundant, and you probably don't even realize how full and abundant that you are. So once you start this, you'll probably start to see that a little bit more. But that was like a big thing for me that I implemented in my days that made me feel very humble and seen and loved and just like cared for and watched over. And that's something that I would also implore as a tip. Another tip would be community. So try to find your community. You can find this at a church. If also, let me say this. Church is not something that I think if you don't go to church, then you're not really a child of God. I don't feel that way. I think your relationship with God is your relationship with God. I think the church is a wonderful way it can be a wonderful way to connect with God and to connect with community before God. But if for whatever reason or another you don't attend church, I don't now say, oh, well, you're not really I don't feel that way at all. As long as you're getting in your prayer closet and you talking to God and you feeling your relationship and, you know, being that vessel, that's all I feel God can really ask of you. But your walk is your walk. That's just a suggestion, though. You can find some community in the church if you're looking for a community that's like-minded or, you know, aligned or just with similar goals. Go to church. Try to find your tribe there. There are often a lot of community events in churches and stuff like that, a lot of which I didn't even realize. Like, they do stuff all the time. And a lot of which is just like hangout stuff. It's not always Bible-based or anything like that. A lot of the stuff in church events are just like for vibes. Like, a lot of the stuff is just like, hey, meet a friend, you know? Hey, we're having a cookout. Like, it just be stuff like that, which is so cool. So yeah, see what your local like churches are up to. Also, go on TikTok. Find your community on YouTube, on TikTok, whatever platforms. Like, they're there. The community is there for you to find. You just have to search it. Seek and you shall find. That way, when things get hard, you can talk to somebody that understands what that hard is. You know what I mean? Lastly, I would say as a tip, make your journey your own. Your journey is yours. Your journey is with you and God and what you feel and what He has set out for you. Allow yourself to find that. Allow yourself to cry to Him and to feel sad and to feel angry. Like, you are allowed to feel these things until you can heal these things. I always say you have to feel it to heal it. And so do so. But do it with the person that allowed you to feel these things in the first place. Make sense? A lot of times we want to cry to our friend or we want to cry to our boyfriend or whatever, but when I tell you, there's nothing like letting the Lord know what you need, because He will deliver. He always delivers. Only if it is what you need, right? A lot of times we ask for what we want, not what we need. And think about the times that you wanted something, you didn't get it. And now it's like, oh, thank God I didn't get that thing I once wanted, right? So that's because God always knows what you need, and He will always provide it. And so ask Him and get to know Him and allow it to be a personal relationship. You don't owe it to everyone to talk about your relationship, but you do owe it to yourself to have one. You deserve that, and He deserves it, and He wants it, and He's waiting on you with open arms. Even if you stray, when He sees you coming back, He is so excited, like, come to me, child, okay? He's there. He wants the relationship. And the same way that you're looking around like, oh my God, I want someone to want me. I want someone to love me unconditionally. You have it. And I know it sounds cliche and it's like, girl, but just try and see. And I think you'll see where I'm coming from. Go seek it. And then come back and let me know. Give it some time. Give it some time. Sow the seeds and reap the harvest that is already set for you. That's just been many tips as I can think of right now. This was just like a quick talk about spirituality. If y'all want more tips and conversations about this, let me know. We're testing this out to see how y'all feel about these type of conversations. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for walking with me in my journey and helping me in my journey. I hope you gained something from today's video, and I will see y'all in the next one.